Oh, are we live now?
Yes.
Are we live now? Can people hear me? Hello, everybody. I'm looking to see if people can hear. What's they doing?
Watch the step away.
Oh, okay.
You should be live, right? They can hear you.
Yes. Well, nobody's specifically said that they can hear me. So.
All right. Look at us. Live.
I always just assume that hi, hello could mean that they have just entered the chat and aren't aware of anything that's going on. So I want to make sure before I start saying important things that people can hear the important things.
Gosh. What important things
Have
does
my-
Pupper have to say?
I have my hair up in a ponytail. That's important.
True. That's true.
I didn't cut it all off. It's in a ponytail.
You did.
I did not cut it all off. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. Okay, cool. Everybody can hear me. So, hello, Morgan. Hello, Star-Eyed Thinker. Hello, Daddy's Princess. Anna's Leather. Taylor Tucker. Amanda Ray. Brea. Destiny. Alice. I think that's everybody that's here right now. It's in the chat. So, hello. Welcome. Oh, yes, and Brea, I did notice about the Patreon thing. That is totally okay. Like, the number one thing that happens to people who have to drop Patreon is financial situation changing. Like, literally, it's 95% of, I think, anybody who's ever left feedback after they've left, it's been financial changes. So I know what happens, and I know especially with the people who are part of our little community here. So many of you guys are in that like 18 to 25-year-old like college / starting adult life phase, and I know that it can be very much like 1 month everything is fine, and the next month is like I have to sell my personal belongings to make rent. So I totally get it. No hard feelings at all. Do what you got to do to make your life the best life possible and not be homeless or hungry or anything like that. To give me $5 on Patreon, you know. I would not want anybody to make that choice. Cool. So today we are not really doing anything in particular. I am not playing video games or anything. I'm not cooking anything. We're just hanging out, having kind of a fireside chat, I guess is what we're having. Because it's just not warm enough outside to where I'm like, yes, I can still have a fireplace. Don't judge me. Because it actually dipped down a little bit, like probably 10 degrees the last couple of days. Does that sound right? Yeah, it dipped down a little bit, so I gotta refuel with some fire. So for those of you who are new or haven't seen this before, this is basically like an interactive Q&A thing. You guys can ask me questions, you guys can tell stories, you guys can ask for advice, and I answer. And that's basically what the format of this is. And the reason why we do these live streams is because I know so many of you guys wonder, you know, where can I ask you questions? Can I email you? Can I do Instagram? Yada yada. And honestly, I don't really have the time to go through them, and especially because I get quite a bit of spam, as pretty much anybody who's presenting as female on the internet does, with guys who are fuckboys and send dick pics. I don't even necessarily know if we're not like already mutually following each other on like Instagram or something like that. I don't know if you're asking me a question or sending me a dick pic. I'd rather not play that roulette game. So I do the live streams to give you guys an opportunity to ask those questions and make sure that everybody gets a chance to be able to contact me more directly, because otherwise my whole life would be spent answering questions, and I would love being able to do that, but you know, present situation does not allow me to financially support myself that way, so we do the live streams. Anyways, that's what's going on. Corgi looks very noble right now. He's very regal.
So, yeah.
He's over there. You guys can't see him, but he is hilarious today.
Texting plans with my friend D&D. What to do?
Is it a friend?
Yeah, his name, you know.
Oh, okay. Are you guys collaborating?
Yeah, about to. So
We've been playing. If I say we've been playing, I mean we just started last week 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons game, and I've played 5th edition once previous to this. In college, I played it for like 6 months to a year, I think. Previous to that, I've played pretty much entirely Pathfinder. So it's a little bit of a transition from like the Pathfinder mindset to the 5e mindset, but it's less rules lawyery, I guess I'd say. Like, it's less like, look at this book I found that gives me this one feat that gives me +3 to like all of my like attack rolls or whatever. Like, you know, something crazy like that. But anyways, let's look at some questions.
Yeah, Pathfinder gets really nuts at times with like classes.
And they don't have something like D&D Beyond where it's like easy to keep track of like all different books and source materials and stuff, which I would love it if they did, but they don't really have something that's that like that you can play and create a character through. Like they have good sources where you can go and look up all of the feats, but not everything is like integrated with each other to where like an automatically generated list of all the spells that are available to you at your level like pops up or something. And that would be really nice. But we're not playing Pathfinder, so I ain't got to worry about that. Yes, so Nina, this is my new pet bed. It's a pet bed in sort of the loosest sense, and that I'm a pet, and this is a bed that I use, and I sit on it, and it has back support. As opposed to like my actual like dog bed, which has a lot less support in it and doesn't have a back to it at all, so it's kind of unrealistic, especially after like a full week of like working an office job. I'm like, oh yay, even like less back support after my back's already been destroyed in front of a computer for like 40 hours. You know, on top of my other computer stuff that I do at home, obviously, and like editing. So I like this because it's got back support, and it's nice, and I like it. And it's like a bean bag type thing, but like a really firm bean bag. Also, if you flip it upside down, it makes a great little wedge for some spankings when you're sitting on the couch. Real BDSM. Real BDSM
for real.
is turning your bean bag into a spanking bench.
They marketed it at the place we got it from.
Was that it?
BDSM?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Exactly.
I mean, you can do anything. The finest. Literally, just call it the finest BDSM furniture store. So Amanda asked, "Do we have any plans for the weekend?" I personally don't. I'm purposely keeping this as like a low key weekend.
The plans of not doing anything.
Yeah, the plans are to not do anything. I have Patreon stuff that I need to do. I'm filming the video for this month, and I'm also doing the photo shoot for this month, this weekend, and then using the long weekend to edit it. That's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm pretty excited about both of them. Feel really inspired, and I have some of the materials for the photo shoot that should be here tomorrow. Even if they're not, that screws up all of my plans. So I really, really hope that it shows up, because I paid out the nose for like the fastest shipping option. Because I decided what I wanted to do for the photo shoot at basically the last minute. Because I had a couple ideas that were rolling around in my head, and then I talked to the peoples on my Discord, and I asked them what they wanted to see, and if they had any ideas, and like the first one was like, that was one of the ones I was thinking of, and everybody like chimed in and they agreed, okay, that's the one that I'm doing. So we're going to be going with that for this month, and I'm excited to see, because it's a more involved idea, I guess, than what I've done previously, but I have the time this weekend to do it. And I think my other plans besides that are pretty much play Stardew Valley and relax. And I may potentially be getting a new piercing on Monday. That'll be exciting. I need to call after this and make sure that I schedule time to go, because there's this one piercer that I've been trying to see for probably like 6 months, because this is kind of a specialized piercing, shall we say. And I don't want anybody to do it. I want somebody who has like a reputation of doing this well, because if you fuck it up, it's like it rejects, it scars really easily, etc. So I am gonna get that done, and it's been hard because I live far enough away to where the schedules don't really work out if the schedules just don't work out if I can't do it on like a holiday weekend, because the piercer's only there like I think Monday through Thursday or something, and they're there in like the middle of the day, which is kind of weird for a piercing parlor. So I have to go when there's a holiday. And the other times that we've done it, it hasn't like worked out schedule-wise. So I'm really excited to go and get that done if it does end up working out. Because it's been like 2 years since I got my nipple piercings done, and I'm ready to get something else. What material is the bed made out of? I don't know. Is there a label on it?
Fabric, and
it's fabric.
It's a beanbag basically, but it's got like.
It's got like a texture to it. Like it's not like just like flat cotton. It's got I guess the best comparison I could have to it is like a really, really well worn in like twill fabric. I guess like that. Like it's not rough like a tweed. But it's not like completely smooth. It has a little bit of this thing going on, and it's got beads on the inside. I don't know what the beads are made out of. Plastic, I guess.
It's beans. It's like beanbag material.
Beans. I mean, they don't put like kidney beans in it or black beans or.
Stop doing that. It gets too spicy.
Gets too spicy. They put beans in it and it gets too spicy.
So spicy.
I'm spicy. Remember when we had Spicy as the... he was the title is escaping me.
What?
No.
Spicy?
Yeah, remember? He used to be in Trump's campaign.
Oh, Sean Spicer.
Yeah, Sean Spicer,
that
aka Spicy. That was a long time ago. How do I prepare for a piercing? I'm always scared of the pain. Yuki, I guess I would say, well, it's not like I get like permanent piercings that often. Like I've had my, whoop, I just hit the microphone, sorry. I've had my nipple piercings done and had my ears done when I was 8, but I did like every sport when I was a kid, so I had to take them out all the time and cover them up, and I didn't really want them because I was 8 years old and a tomboy, and I didn't want pierced ears, so I just took them out one day and never put them back in. I never looked back. And I remember when I was younger and I got the ear piercings done that I was really worried about them because my sister wanted them for her birthday, and yeah, and it wasn't something that I was more nervous about it than enthusiastic, and I was definitely really scared of the pain. And I also got it done at Claire's, so they used a piercing gun, which is awful for a number of reasons, including the fact that when improperly used, which is pretty much always, it hurts a lot more. But the nipple piercings, I mean, I have a whole video talking about it, but they weren't that. I was nervous for that because it had been so long since I got piercings done, and I had heard everything from like unbearable to the point of passing out to like didn't feel anything, and so I didn't really know what to expect for myself. And since I've gotten that done, like we do piercing play, like we do needles, so I'm a lot more familiar with like the sensation of a needle going in and out of my skin. And yeah, the technique is different, and the sizes of needles are different, obviously, because we normally don't go past like a 20 gauge, and most piercings are at least at like a 16. So they definitely, and it's surprising how much like 4 gauge worth of difference makes in terms of size. When you look at like a 25 gauge versus like a 20 gauge, there's a very significant difference. But I'm just more like familiar, and it's not as scary to me. And I guess where I'm getting pierced could be scary, but everything that I've read about this particular piercing is it's a very small amount of skin, and it heals really quickly, so it shouldn't be very painful. It's one of the, like, people have compared it to getting like earlobe piercings in terms of pain, so I'm not worried about it at all. And I'm not getting it like a matched side piercing. I'm only getting one, so I don't have to worry about like getting one, my adrenaline running out, the other one, the second one, being like way worse. So I basically just got familiar with needles and having needles in my skin in various parts of my body, and that made it less frightening. I think if I was getting something like a tongue piercing, I would be really worried about that, because that's something else. Like if my job ever allowed for it, I would probably want to get like a small, and by small I don't mean like smaller gauge, I mean like a a more subtle like tongue piercing, like a small ball or something, and I'm scared about that because it's so much tissue and it's so sensitive, and it's in your face as opposed to like an ear piercing, which you can't really see. But we'll cross that bridge if we ever get there. I'm not worried.
I worry a little bit.
About what?
That's why I like that.
People like seeing your socks.
You need them out of the way, or
Ah,
it's just weird.
it's just weird.
My sexy legs, my Viking legs.
Yeah, piercing guns are the worst. Would I ever get my nose pierced? I've thought about it, but I don't really think I would want one. Like, if I got one, I would want like a really simple septum piercing. I know, basic bitch piercing, right? Like everybody, it's like the belly, or like no belly. It's like the navel piercing of like the last like 10 years, like 2000s. Belly rings are all the rage, and now it's septums. So I would want like a really simple septum piercing that went like as close to the underside of my nose as possible. But I have, it's not a deviated septum, but I have like the tissue on the underside of my nose is even, I really don't know how to describe it, but it's definitely like it's like misshapen, so I don't know if that would cause a problem for getting the piercing. It's not visible at all unless you like actually like look up my nose, but there is definitely a difference on either sides of my nostrils of like how the tissue is formed. I never had a broken nose or anything, so I don't really know. I guess it's just like the way that my nose is. But I would want to get one of those as opposed to like an exterior nose piercing, because I'm just not sure how much I would like it, and they get scarred pretty easily. If I was going to get anything else, it would probably be ears, but the way that I wear my hair, I don't really ever show my ears, and it would probably just be like, I already got to worry about this area like so much during play. I really don't want to have to worry about this area a ton also, because then it's just like I'm constantly on edge about like something getting torn off of my body, and I would prefer to have a little bit of freedom when I'm playing, to have some degree of roughness without having to like cover everything in like tape and like athletic protection gear, I guess. That's me. And that's how I feel about it. Piercings are so interesting because I feel like it's interesting, like the people that get like a ton of them, like so many, and I really like piercings too, but it's like I have so much trouble like imagining like having like and actually like enjoying having that many all at once. Like I kind of very minimalist when it comes to that, I guess. I don't know. Hey, look, I'm gonna be able to put somebody in timeout and then delete their messages.
Oh dear.
I'm not talking about trampling. I'm not fulfilling your fetish on this live stream. Hate to break it to you.
I mean, you need really good homeowners insurance, and a lot of homeowners places won't cover you. It also is an attractive nuisance, so you need to make sure
that's bad.
you have fences and good repair. I mean, trampolining is no joke. And
Sir, make a joke. Sir made a joke. Removed. Removing. Yeah, it's a difference. My hair is up. Because I just didn't like the way my hair looked today, so I was like, let's put it up for the live stream. Oh, sorry, I missed one of the first questions we got. Let me go back and answer that. Anna asked, is MFP safe to use for roleplay? Yeah, totally. You can use like a lot of synthetics for groundwork especially. I wouldn't assume that MFP is okay if you're doing anything related to going up in the air, but if you're just like doing ties on the floor or somewhere, like it's fine. The one thing you have to keep in mind when you're using a synthetic material, with the exception of some of the ones that are made to replicate a natural fiber, like Hempex or Posh, they slip more easily just because of the fact they're synthetic. So I usually have to like lock it down like one more time to make sure that the actual tie isn't going to slip around anywhere. But that's, you know, of the problems you could have, that's not bad. And then it does cause rope burn more easily than a natural fiber does. But if you like rope burn, that might actually be a good thing. So if you like rope burn, synthetic is better for that. And, you know, you can't necessarily tie with it the speed of lightning if you don't like rope burn. But you can also just wear clothes under it, and then that just prevents any unpleasantries. I could also crawl under it, that's true. And then I'd never come back out. In reference to the pet bed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, so Amanda asked, I have to ask my dom if I can come into bed with him, or I have to ask what I can wear. All talked about before I'd consented. Some people are saying since we're not 24/7, we can't do that. We don't go around saying we're 24/7. Is that wrong of us? I mean, no. I mean, everybody has a definition of what 24/7 means to them. I would probably look at a relationship where there is continual rules in place that are sort of on all the time. You know, every day of the week for all 24 hours. So if at any point you have to ask what you're going to wear, or if at any point you need to ask permission before going to bed, I would consider that 24/7. Now, I think people get that confused with being 24/7 TPE, so 24/7 total power exchange, and not all 24/7 relationships are complete authority transfer. Most of them are somewhere between we have one rule that exists all the time to very, very closely TPE, but most things are somewhere in the middle where it's not like he controls your every action all day, every day. But if you don't want to call it 24/7, you don't have to. I'm just trying to explain that, like, I think what people are getting at is that, like, having continual rules in place that are negotiated to at the beginning and then assumed to continue forward, and that you would have to do every day on a daily basis, that would constitute 24/7 for most people. But it's kind of like they don't get to decide if you're lying or not, because if you don't feel like that's what 24/7 means to you, only you get to decide what that is. And that's really the same thing for, like, pretty much any BDSM thing, like animal role play versus pet play, or bratting, or whatever. Like, everybody has their own personal interpretation of what exactly each one of those things are, and what exactly is not that, or is that, or whatever. And I can offer my perspective on how I see those terms, and in particular how I believe the larger community on average sees those terms. But everybody has their own personal variances, shall we say. But it's kind of fucked up, like, you can't do that because you're not 24/7. I'm like, that's kind of like a chicken and egg problem. Like, wait, so because you're not 24/7, you can't have 24/7 like rules, or because you have 24/7 like rules, you have to call yourself 24/7. So I don't really get, like, why is there an issue there? Why are people like this? Why are people like this, sir?
Well, Evie, it all goes back to when they put lead in paint.
Did you see that ContraPoints video, though?
It's been awesome so much ContraPoints. I should do that again.
Here's a video where she talks about institutional racism, but more specifically about where she lives in Maryland, and about how there used to be all of these settlements for people that were the victims of lead poisoning because of lead paint in their, like, project homes, because landlords don't give a shit about those, and, like, how that affects, like, the long-term outcomes and crime rates of, like, this community because of the fact that they're all in project housing, but they're all getting poisoned by lead paint since birth. And it's interesting.
It is actually statistically significant that the elimination of lead from gasoline and paint correlates with a decrease in criminal activity.
And I think it, like, increased the average IQ of somebody who's been exposed to lead paint since birth, or somebody who hasn't, is, like, I think there's, like, a 10-point difference, which we can have a whole discussion about how valid IQ is and how people use it versus why it was created to be used. But
it is valid aggregated across a large population.
Yeah. I saw a post on Twitter earlier, and it was something to the effect of like somebody had retweeted some alt-right guy who had said that, like, you know, you don't have to go to college, all you need to do is take an IQ test and then wave it around in front of your employer.
In your resume. And it's like, I remember seeing that.
I took this free online test. It says my IQ is 156. You're an idiot if you don't hire me.
Yeah. I actually saw this on Twitter. There were others like hashtag Peterson resume ideas, and there's some other ones. These are sarcastic.
Can people hear me sarcastic? I always worry because this is very. Are you sure? How do you know?
Tell EV y'all can hear me. So the other one was like helped build Western society as a suggestion. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones. Can they hear me? This is all in a lie.
I don't know. Nobody said so yet.
No.
I'm gonna just ask directly.
Fuck.
Okay, 2 people said that they could.
Cool.
Yeah, it's 3 people. Okay, 3's the majority. Moving on. I just worry because I don't want you to say something really important and then everybody who watches this goes, I can't hear anything. That makes me feel bad.
Aww. God.
What?
Speaking of weird shit on resumes, I'll just show you this. It's better than kind of hinting at. He just got a new job. Middle one right there. That is so.
That is the most him thing I've ever heard.
Exactly.
Well, where did it? What?
I'm not entirely sure exactly where it is.
Interesting. Everybody's getting jobs.
I know.
That's good. And then so that means he's not working at the place that was like destroying his soul anymore.
Yeah. Always a good situation for you. What do you think? What do you think? I mean, employment's at like an all-time low.
Unemployment's at an all-time low.
It's like 3.5%.
I had somebody try and tell me earlier today that, like, it's people.
People are no damn good.
Well, people, like, it's interesting, like, this narrative gets created that, like, employment rates are terrible right now, and it's like, okay, why, like, whatever, like, studies from, what was I going to say? I was going to say, like, unemployment rates, at least in most of the places that I'm aware of, with some exceptions for places like West Virginia and the like, is like 3.5% to like 5%, which is considered full employment. Which doesn't necessarily mean it's easy to find a job, but it also doesn't mean that there's, like, you know, more people than expected looking for work, I guess. Anyways, let's, I can draw graphs for that, but let's not get into it. How do you get questions and comments to show up on the screen? Magic?
Technically? Or, I mean, it's
an OBS thing.
Yeah, search for whatever streaming software you use, and then whatever video streaming site you use, and then comment overlay.
Forgot I wanted to add the buttons for the Streamlabs thing.
Oh, you got all that configured?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can do like a little mini stream on Monday or something.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe we will. We won't know until Monday happens.
Yeah.
We can live stream us recording the podcast.
Live stream us watching
Nymphomaniac?
Yeah. Like not actually live stream the movie, but just the reactions.
Our reactions. My reactions.
I've tried not to like spoil myself too much because it's, I don't know, kind of like I don't really care about getting spoiled for like popcorn-y type movies, but stuff where it's like I want to like have my first impression.
Well, your first time to be special.
First time was so special. It was because as a junior I passed the state test you have to pass as either a junior or a senior, and my girlfriend was in the same situation. So we didn't have to go to school that day. Their parents thought we did.
And then you fucked.
You know, we fucked on twin bed.
And that's how Mr. Checks lost his virginity. He's making motions. You guys can't see it, but...
You can so him being amazing. Just off screen. Corgi's being amazing. He's being very chill.
It's because he doesn't have to be on camera.
Yeah.
The camera makes him nervous. Anyways. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find a question. Dry skin is the worst. Floating Lettuce says, my partner is not poly, but I am poly. He doesn't understand polyamory, and I was looking for a suggestion or something to read that would help him understand how I feel. Do you have any suggestions? I don't know. I'm gonna try a command and see if I put it in here yet or not. I don't think I did, but that's fine. I will link to it anyways because I have a reading list for this.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, I surely do. Because I get this question all the time, and I think that it is a difficult concept to understand even if you read it. It's something that is so completely outside of the norm of how most people conduct their relationships and their lives, that there's a lot of misconceptions. And it's also something that, like, some people will just never understand. Like, it'll never click with them why this is the way that it is. But if I were to suggest any place to start, let me see here. I would recommend Opening Up, which is a guide to creating and sustaining open relationships. I really like that book because it goes over the wide scope of all forms of open relationships, not just polyamory, because I consider non-monogamy to be the general terminology for anything that is not monogamy. So that includes swinging, open relationships, polyfidelity, all the different subtypes therein. And I consider polyamory to specifically mean pursuing romantic and sexual entanglements as their own individual relationships, as opposed to like partner swapping or having fuck buddies or having other play partners in BDSM. So it's like, for me, polyamory is like a really specific subset of non-monogamy, and not all the books on that list I just gave get into that much detail about the scope of non-monogamous styles of relationships. I would probably also recommend When Someone You Love is Polyamorous. I have not read that book, so I don't know how tailored it is specifically to introducing monogamous partners to non-monogamy. But it may be easier for just somebody in general who doesn't necessarily understand the concept of non-monogamy to read that book, regardless of what your relationship is with them. And there's a bunch of other books on that list too that can be helpful, but it can be a really scary thing. It can be a really threatening thing. It can be a really hard to digest thing, and so it's a lot harder for me to give advice about polyamory than it is for me to give advice about BDSM, because people tend to have a lot more invested emotional reactions to polyamory than they do to BDSM. Because
you can sort of, not necessarily fake, but you can be a kind of a willing participant without really being into BDSM.
Like, yeah, sure, I can put a blindfold on you when we have sex. Like, as opposed to like, yeah, I'll be fine if you go on dates with Chad from work. Like,
100% fine. Texting you 50 times during a day.
Gotta make sure to add that one to the Nightbot list. I tried.
You can do it from like the chat there. It's like,
can I?
Yeah, bang, command, space, add.
What is bang?
Oh, exclamation mark.
Is that what they call it on the? I didn't realize.
Yeah, because it's like bang, an exclamation.
Pew!
So it's like bang, slash. So anyways, bang, COMMAND, space, add, space, the name of the command, and then what you want it to reply with.
Wait, I don't get it. I'm gonna try it later.
Okay.
That's too much at once. Hopefully that answered some questions. I don't know if it was helpful. Niner had asked, karate and kink? I don't know if this is a legitimate question, but also hi. Sure, you can do anything you want in BDSM, pretty much, as long as all parties are giving informed consent. And I suppose that could include karate. Like, I've had partners before who have either been wrestlers or done judo, and like that kind of rough body play information gets incorporated into scenes. So it can totally happen. I don't know about karate specifically, because that's not really about grappling, but it could. If you want to do it, you can probably figure it out.
I mean, like, certainly uniform kink can also be part of it.
True. Mr. Miyagi and Karate Kid.
Love it.
BDSM scene.
I love it.
Reach deep into yerba mate culture.
Whoa.
That's what it says. That's kind of scary. That makes you think this is kind of culty, and this makes me feel.
Absolutely is.
It's absolutely cult. No, it's kombucha people.
Kombucha is a fun one, because everyone I know who likes... Like, how do they actually sell kombucha? Because everyone I know who likes kombucha, which tastes like a fart filtered through a sock, ends up making their own.
Do they? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't.
Leather.
Oh, yeah. That's how you make vinegar, right? I mean, it's basically just like drinking vinegar.
Fermented tea. It's kombucha.
Oh man, Charity Diva, 20% off.
Did you see, who's it?
Clothing? BDSM store?
BDSM, Extreme Restraints.
Oh.
Actually, we should just eyeball any, to see if they're any fun looking,
I've actually just been looking at TENS units all day.
How do you know?
I've been looking at them. I didn't realize. Guys, you know TENS units? Okay, so TENS units is like a medical electrical stimulation. And I never ever thought of doing it before because I'm not really a big fan of violet wands, so I just assumed I didn't like electroplay.
Completely different.
And it's a completely different sensation. I don't know why I didn't like consider that before. And I'm like, well, it could be a good thing, but then also a TENS unit is like $300. So it's like, I don't really want to spend $300 and I don't like it.
Something with somebody else, but if Evie likes it, I would also.
Is it a red-haired bunny?
Red-haired bunny and a couple other people have expressed interest. It's like one of those things where it's like
we get a big group together, we hook them up to a tennis unit. Okay, well, that's good. All right, whoa, I got distracted.
yeah,
TENS units.
I was looking. I'll send you what I was looking at.
Cool.
Embodying hand.
Apparently, there are ones that get inserted into orifices.
Oh, they have so many. Like the 90% of the fun of shopping for them is looking at the attachments.
It's like that goes in the butt.
Yeah.
That goes in the other place.
There's.
I saw ones that had gloves, and I wasn't sure how you would get a TENS unit sensation out of a glove because that seems more like Violet Wandy. But I don't know about this.
You might need to turn the intensity, but like TENS is.
I'm just.
Violet Wand is like buzzing on top of the skin. TENS is like it's like in the skin.
Bzzz.
It's like almost like turning your body into a speaker would sort of be like my best.
I saw one that you can hook up to music, and they can go to the music.
And the real trick is you want the virtual third channel ones because they can actually.
What does that mean?
These are phase because they have two channels, and they can use the phase difference between those channels to create like a third sensation.
Blow my mind.
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing. I was looking at TENS units. Because that's like a whole other thing I haven't tried before. So who knows?
You gotta try everything.
I like what is appealing about it for me is I like the sensation is something I can't even picture what that would even feel like. Like it just seems so like outside of my experience. So that's like an intense curiosity, but at the same time I think if it is really about like You lose muscle control? I think that could be fun. That could have applications.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's like total like blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
like.
you can cause it to contract.
Mhm.
If you, then it's like if you want to actually like keep it contracted, that's like technically electrocution.
I don't want that to happen.
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely like more muscle involvement than with the violin.
Does it still feel like shocking? Like, does it have the same electricity like feeling component to it?
Yeah, there's like a, but it's like completely different. So there's like the shock, there's like the zap. It's not like, it's actually very similar to the Little Devil. So I don't know how you feel about that one. Though with a proper tens unit, you can turn down the intensity.
That's what I was thinking, because Little Devil is just on or off, basically, right? Like
or pulsing. There's so many options. On or off.
On or off. I was mostly just like, I was reading about it, and then I was like, wait, people put this in a butt, and they shock themselves in the butt, and that's like fine, and that's like that doesn't cause like issues. I was generally like really like what? Like I couldn't imagine like. So how did somebody come up with this? And then like, yes, this is medically safe. Couldn't believe it. So that'll be an adventure, possibly.
An adventure in the butt.
Wonder what's going on Extreme Restraints.
Yeah, see if they've got their little bolero straight jacket.
Oh yeah. Wait, isn't that Stockroom?
Maybe. See if Stockroom's got a sale.
Oh, I know they have a sale. I got their email this morning. I'm up to date on all the latest hot sales, guys. If you guys are like, where can I get this on sale? I'll hook you up.
You don't want people asking you that, though.
That's true.
You don't want to be people's personal shopper.
I don't. I have meant this for so long, and so help me God, I will make a tier on Patreon that is the personal shopper tier, and I will be your personal shopper. Locked and cocked. Shop chastity devices. Yes, this is very in your face.
Oh, gosh. Well, maybe we can entertain ourselves.
I mostly just like laughing at the advertisements because they're so terrible. Anyways, let's get back to answer your questions.
Yeah, sorry.
Anyways, is a babe asked, can a platonic friend be an owner, master, etc.? Yeah. Yeah, boy.
Yeah, again, you can have multiple different types of relationships with people. Like, you can have romantic, you can have platonic, you can have
Like
kink.
Like a kink.
Yes.
Like a kink relationship is its own thing. Like it's not a subtype of a romantic relationship or like a subtype of a sexual relationship. It's like, especially if you're doing it like lifestyle 24/7 type thing, it can exist separately of any of those. That's like how pro-doms exist, right? Is because they're not necessarily entangled because of their like romantic or sexual connections. They offer a service and it's based in the idea of having a kink relationship, not necessarily a romantic or a sexual one. So it can totally, if you have, the one thing I would say to that is if you feel like you would consider somebody who is dominant over you, like you would want to have a romantic or sexual connection with somebody who is your dominant ideally, it can be difficult to kind of not put those feelings on the relationship, if that makes sense. Like if you consider somebody, like if you're picturing in your head as a submissive, like what you want out of a dominant, and you're thinking of somebody who's like your romantic partner, your sexual partner, and your dominant, if you're trying to pursue that in a strictly platonic relationship, you just got to be mindful of like, if you don't want that platonic relationship to progress into that territory, you just have to be mindful of like reality versus your fantasy.
Yeah.
You know, is that helpful? I don't know.
How good people are at compartmentalizing.
God, compartmentalize.
Because like, if you're like, hey, I don't want a romantic attachment, but at the same time,
Do they make one of those for a tens unit? Romantic attachment?
Oh, it's good. It's it'll knock your socks right off.
You made that joke.
Do you have any jokes? I forget.
Puns. I can't make puns. I think jokes are okay. I'm gonna say like, cool. Corey just gave me this look, like he was like,
shit, yeah.
he's just
like, somebody closed my door to the outside.
It was me, Corky.
For good reason.
I control the outside.
Yeah.
I'm the captain now.
Okay. Yeah, it's like, it's one of those things, like, especially can get, like, really intense really quickly in a way I think not everyone's necessarily prepared for. Just calling it how I see it.
Ba-ba-da. Ba-da-da-da. So, at Jen White, I'm going to say that this is what you are looking for.
Just gonna say it, and if it's not, you have to.
It's where to get a day collar.
Oh.
I have a whole list. Yeah, for real though. 4 realsies. Does it not? Does it not work when I have it with an at? Do I just have? I know I have this as one.
It's gotta start with the exclamation mark.
It does.
Is it not?
Why is it not doing it though? It's not. Oh, okay. It just took a minute.
Oh yeah. Bike watches.
And then I think I have this one as pet gear. Maybe. Okay, cool. Both of those have places where you can find day collars. Does Corey ever join me in pet space? No, not if I can help it. I feel really awkward if he's involved.
He is no longer. Yeah, he's not a part of that anymore.
Yeah.
It's not a good situation.
Yeah.
For him or her, and he gets really.
We don't understand each other's communication. Yeah, he's not even chill when he plays with other dogs.
Yeah.
He's a shit starter. So with me, without my ability to actually communicate like a dog, it would just get weird. And then it kind of gets like a little bit too like into the like, I don't think it's like bestiality territory, but it just feels really weird to like have a non-consenting animal involved in any like shape or form in that kind of play. So I would just prefer that he not, have to get in my business or try and take my treats or my toy or, that kind of thing. If I want to play with another animal, I'll play with another pet player. No offense against Corgi.
Some offense.
A little bit of offense, honestly.
Little.
Oh
yeah,
my! Oh, his little face.
I'm a little offended, frankly.
He's like, don't offend me.
No offendo.
No offendo. That sounds like something our fox friend would say.
Yes, 100%.
Yes, this is a real fireplace. This one was real in the sense it's a gas fireplace. Yeah, it's real to me.
But it puts off heat. There's a fire going.
Boop, 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 boop. I'm looking for the next question, that's why I'm quiet. Okay, Otterpaw asked, do you think there's a good age you should be before you go to play party for the first time? Do you think it matters as long as you're well researched? Or do you think it's a good idea to bring a partner with you? Be 18 or be 21 if that's what's required where you live.
And your partner should at least know that you're doing it.
Your partner should know that you're doing it.
If they're up for it.
Well, it's good to bring a partner with you. So that could also mean like friends.
Oh.
I mean, you don't have to go with anybody. And honestly, sometimes if you're out there to specifically make friends, I like going by myself because then I don't glom on to whoever I went with, because that will happen sometimes. If I go with if I were to go somewhere with Mr. Tex and I was trying to meet people, it would be a lot harder because I would want to go back to my safe space and be like, help me, people are scary.
done socializing. Go back out there. Say hi to people.
No.
No! You cannot make me. I make her, and then she's like, thank you for making me. And I'm like, what's going on, baby?
So yeah, B18 or B21. I have known people that have joined the scene in their mid-20s, late 20s, 30s, and still fucked up. And I have known people who joined the day that they turned 18 and they were perfectly fine. The legality of it is what matters more than your chronological age. Obviously, it is a good idea to be researched beforehand if you can be. But I would also say the issue with like going into it to research is sometimes that can make you closed off to opinions. That can also kind of make you feel like you already know everything. And that kind of gets into danger territory because real life is so much different than online or what you can read out of a book, that if you go into it kind of thinking, oh, I'm research, I know what everything is, you don't open yourself up to experience that could cause issues. And you don't want to cause issues. So don't do that. And it can also just kind of make you sort of dangerous, like going into it thinking like you know everything, or that you know quite more than you do, or kind of more than what you've reasonably experienced. Like if you spent 3 years reading about spanking and you really want to do spanking, you still have never actually done a spanking scene, so you don't really know what it's like, so you shouldn't jump off the deep end just because you've read a lot about it. It's basically what I'm trying to get at here. Like, being knowledgeable is an invaluable tool, but it is still not a substitute for actual experience. It's kind of like if you spent 4 years studying a foreign language in school but you never spoke it. If you were to go abroad to a foreign country where that was a language that they spoke, you're still not going to be as prepared as if you spoke it every day or something when you're practicing. So just, be legal age, and that's basically all you gotta do, really. And you can take a partner if you want to, but you can also not, and it's fine either way, as long as the person you're bringing with you is BDSM aware and
yeah, that's
it's not a spectator.
Like, hey, I'm going to this party and I just don't know what's going to happen, and then then they find out it's like this thing, because and it's totally fine to be honest with someone and be like, hey, this is important to me. I would really like someone that's a friendly face that can kind of keep me in check, and just know there have been tons of vanilla people who have escorted budding kinksters, little baby kinksters, to events to help them out, and that's amazing and that's great.
Oh yeah, Stockroom is 20% off
on everything.
Store wide. I feel like Sir would like this look.
Oh, I love that look. He does that look just to hang around.
It's true, I do. That's why I know Sir likes it. Yeah. Look at this sheep marshmallow.
Sheba mellow. Oh, look at that. Yeah, put it between 2 Grammy cracks.
Do you guys want to see it? I don't know if you guys can see it.
Oh.
I like it. Look at all my notifications.
So delicious. So delicious. What to do?
Anyways, moving on. Me. It was me. Have fun listening to jazzy jazz. Yes, Extreme Restraints does have a sale going on.
Oh. No,
it's true.
Shoot. I'll try it. It's hard to
Wow, Electro Shank. That sounds dangerous.
Oh, that's basically the Little Devil, but in fake knife form. It's not going to cut in.
It's a lot of penises.
Yeah.
Why do people like getting shocked in the penis?
Because it stimulates things in there, and I think like a lot of times it's a form of male masturbation.
Hmm.
It's basically how much effort can we put into male wanking?
Apparently, quite a lot.
Absolutely.
Oh, by the way, guys, if you don't put a question mark after your question, I may not realize that it's a question. And then I will miss it. And it will be sad.
That's really odd.
So make sure you put a question mark. I'm saying that because now I've just seen a question where somebody asked me, what is your favorite scene? Which is like such a hard question to answer because I do so many different things. I can punch in the butt.
Punch to the butt with her own butt.
That doesn't make sense.
It's Chuck Tingle title.
What's that?
Chuck Tingle is the guy who likes raptors.
Who's that?
Like he's the writer who has all the in my butt like series of stories.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, we've talked about it on the podcast.
Have we?
Yeah. Just search Chuck Tingle and you'll see.
Chuck Tingle. I'm scared. I don't want to search it. She says even though she was just looking at devices that are meant to shock penises. Is it literally Chuck Tingle? Is that a...
It is Chuck Tingle.
Chin
I'm sure
Tingle.
It's Mr. Tingle to people who don't know him.
I'll be damned. It really is. There's Chuck Tingle. The greatest author of our generation. Oh, they've got like kind of ripped guys on the covers. It says, Dr. Chuck Tingle is a synonymous author of gay niche erotica. Wow, that is a... Wow.
You're looking at... Yeah.
I'm looking at the covers.
Mm-hmm.
Fake news, real boners. Wow.
Yeah.
There's a Bitcoin in my butt in these hands. Oh my god. That's ridiculous.
No society as well.
Wow. Okay, I'm done now. I've seen enough. I have seen enough.
Mm-hmm. Have you, though? We need to panic. That comes later. Oh, I know what we should watch. You haven't seen the movie Bane in it, right? We're gonna watch that tonight. That was not thoughtful for all of it.
So many Canadians here. Y'all, it's late where you live.
Maple flags represent. True Leaf Pride.
I don't know what my favorite scene is. Or the oddest place I've done a scene? I don't know. I do it in usual places. I don't know. I'm not a public, I'm not like a public play person because I think that's like morally bankrupt. It's like, yeah, let's do a scene in a park where there's children. No.
You know how you can ruin your life? Having to register as a sex offender everywhere you go.
That's true. So I don't really do them in odd places, I guess. I mean, we've done stuff in the woods before, and we did a scene where I was tied to a tree in the woods. And they got smeared with cake.
There's a lot of tied to trees. Not that much cake smearing.
Only once, but it was worth it.
Yep.
It was for my birthday.
Yeah. There's catharsis.
In cake.
Cake-tharsis.
Curry wants out.
Yeah, he does. Alright, I'll let him out.
He's very...
Oh my god. Am I dead? Sorry.
Hmm?
I might be playing something.
Yeah, I know you are, sir.
Oh, no.
You're playing Don't Starve?
It's frog rain.
Catch the frog, sir.
I thought it was summer.
No, sir, it's not.
Oh my god, okay. I'm safe to go by the rabbits.
Anyways, I'm gonna let Sir play his video game, and I'll keep answering questions. Quick tips for dealing with sub drop on your own: drink water, watch nice things, comfortable clothing, dark, quiet time, no overstimulus. Quiet is good. Mm-hmm. Make sure you eat good food, not junk food. That's it. I don't know. I guess it depends on what you're dealing with sub drop. Like there's the I'm missing my partner sub drop. There's my body feels like crap sub drop. There's the I have a headache sub drop. There's the I'm irritable sub drop. There's the I'm angry at the universe sub drop. Like there's so many different ways that you can experience sub drop and different ways that people respond to different ways of treating sub drop that I kind of need a little bit more information about what that is looking like for you before I can really answer that question. I know it works for me, and it's making sure I get enough sleep, making sure I get enough water, ideally taking a hot shower, and, you know, that's pretty much what I do. Sleep being the biggest one. I really also sometimes need, like, quiet, just dark alone time. But a lot of other people that does the opposite thing, and they need the opposite of that. They need warm and light and comfortable and hanging out with their partner and snuggles. But not everybody does the same thing. That's what I do.
Sub drop happens, and there's nothing you can do.
Nothing you can do.
Nothing you can do. Because it's like, there was a moment, and it was an amazing moment, and you're not in that moment. And it's like,
And it sucks that you're not in that moment anymore.
Yeah.
And then your body hates you. Or your brain.
I mean, it's like, there have been plenty of occasions where, like, I text Evie and I'm like, yeah, I'm going through top drop. Or Evie's like texting me and she's like, I'm going through sub drop. And it's like, that happens and it's worth, like, talking about. But overall, we put up with it because it's, like, amazing. What are you thinking for dinner?
I don't know, sir. Salad?
Salad.
Sandwich?
Wedge salad.
Yeah, I have wedge salad. Wedge salad.
You want to wedge it up? Oh, Will. I opened that for you. You popped your head out and you popped right back in.
He's like, yes, I had to feel like I was in control again.
Yeah.
Oh, little fuzzy boy. That's cute. As far as what I would do that pushes me into subspace, that is way too personal to talk about on this channel. So I'm not going to get into it. Like, I do have things that I'm not comfortable discussing, and that's kind of one of them. And everybody asks me about it all the time, and I really, really don't want to talk about it. So please don't ask me. Like, is that weird? Like, is it weird that I don't want to talk about what gets me into subspace? It's like asking me what gets me to orgasm. Like, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fucking personal.
Yeah.
And I also don't always know. Well, sometimes it just fucking happens.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's a better question that's like, how do I get to subspace? Which is like, and now we can sort of have that conversation and we can talk about it instead of just being like, here's what works for me. I don't know what works for anybody. Hi, bud.
Anyways, no hard feelings. It's just I get asked that question 4 or 5 times. I would probably say I get asked that question like a dozen times a month, probably.
And also, I mean, the important thing is subspace isn't what defines like.
Yeah, I think that's really like my frustration with that question is beyond how personal it is. It's like
People also tend to
subspace isn't the reason why you should be doing scenes.
Yeah, and again, it's like some people it's really easy to get to orgasm, some people it's not. Some people confuse what an orgasm is. So not everybody uses the same language for the same.
Thought I was gonna have an orgasm. It turns out I just needed to pee a little bit. You like that kind of thing. But with subspace.
Yeah, I mean, though some people like trying to force yourself to pee can kind of give you an orgasm.
Water sports.
One orgasm.
Only one.
Just one. Everybody gets one.
Everybody gets one. It's like a ticket. Yeah, everybody gets a free ice cream. Anyways, I don't know where that was going. But basically what I'm trying to say is like, the question itself doesn't offend me. What I hate is the global fixation on subspace. Every fucking post on FetLife. Everybody wants to know how you get into subspace, how you make subspace happen, what subspace feel like, how can I make subspace, blah, 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 blah. It's like having the focus of sex be the orgasm as opposed to creating a connective experience with a partner that's mutually enjoyable. If it's meant to happen, it will happen. You can't force it to happen. Birdo! There's a birdo outside. There's a bird. Bird. I don't know, sir. I haven't checked it. I don't know. It's supposed to be there or not. Is it allowed? Does it have a permit, sir? Does the birdo have its birdo permit?
Yeah, some dog on you, of course.
No, that's what Corey's supposed to do. He's supposed to check it out. Did you find the charger for it?
I'm sure. They're not that expensive.
I was about to say, I'm like, it can't be that unique.
The way they do fucking chargers, it is.
Is that on purpose?
Well, no, I think it's carelessness or cheapitude. Cheapulation.
Focus more on enjoying yourself and enjoying the time you spend with the people you like and not about
Subspace actually,
the
it's one of those
extremities.
Things where the more you try to like force it, and the more you're like, oh my god, I'm not getting into subspace.
What's just gonna happen?
You're making it not happen.
Stop trying to make it happen. It's not gonna happen.
It's not like fetch.
It's true.
Just take a nap. 3-day nap. What do you think?
I like that idea. Can I play Stardew Valley while I nap?
Nope. Just napping.
No deal.
Wow. Yeah, here I was thinking you had, core values.
My core values are naps and Stardew Valley. Can I have 2 days of nap and 1 day of Stardew Valley?
Sure.
Okay, deal.
Starting now.
So Otterpaw says, to add to my question from earlier, the partner is a friend that's into BDSM and they're very interested in being a dom. I don't want to mess up. Is there any good reasons for learning about that? So you mean with your friend learning how to be a dom? How does anybody learn how to be anything? Practice. I mean, being a young dom is really hard. Being a new dom is really hard. So take classes, go to munches, go to taster events where they can try stuff out, read a lot, be willing to learn from others, watch other people's scenes, go to classes in particular focused on negotiation, skill sharing, consent. Those are really important things that everybody should know, dom or sub, and then eventually hopefully they will be able to develop a clear idea about do they really want to be a dominant or not. And then from there, they can progress into hopefully finding people at these classes and events and meetups that would be interested in exploring, play with them. I personally don't really like playing with new doms because my standards are like here. And I don't really have a lot of patience. I'm really not a good person to be somebody's like first time play partner because I just get frustrated really easily, and I know that about myself. And I'm also, like, I'm much better at explaining things to other submissives than I am trying to coach a dominant on how to be a dominant. And so I don't make a good, like, first partner, but there are people who love introducing other people to the scene and love having people who they can play with their dominants that are new and kind of, like, show them the right way. Because it can be difficult for new dominants to find play partners, and unless they're in an existing relationship where they decide to explore BDSM together, and then that obviously makes things easier because you get experience there, and then you can transfer that elsewhere. But kind of once you get out of your like teenage experimental years, or if you're not already in like a committed relationship that kind of offers that space, I would say probably the one thing that they could do that would be a bad idea is to relentlessly pursue trying to find people that they can be dominant with, like,
or misrepresent.
Or misrepresent. Yeah, and that goes along with the like, don't misrepresent your experience level, because that also comes across not looking very good. And then, as well, if you are not experienced and somebody is under the impression that you are, you negotiate for a scene that's outside of your skill level, and then that's how things get really fucked up and bad really quickly.
And then you get a reputation,
and then you never get to grow. Don't say that to be scary, but just realistically speaking, I want to acknowledge that it is difficult. So rather than trying to force yourself into okay, I'm a Dom, let's go find somebody to play with, it's better to just kind of get into the community as a whole and find spaces where you can learn and observe others, and then from there, hopefully naturally find connections that are willing to explore more in BDSM. And as well, I would say, especially dominance, focus more on learning topping skills before you decide to dive into the DS aspect. Yes. Hopefully that makes sense, because dominance sort of saying you want to be a Dom sort of implies that you have an interest in power exchange, but power exchange is very complicated, and I don't recommend getting into that until you at least have some experience with topping and conducting scenes generally, just because it's a lot more difficult to navigate and control a BDSM relationship than it is a individual scene where you're swinging a flogger around.
Yeah, and pick one thing. Don't try to learn.
Pick all the things.
Electro play, heavy body play. Pick one thing that interests you and focus on learning that. And honestly, classes are some of the best ways of meeting people and kind of, if you find someone who is interested in playing with you but is concerned about your skill level, inviting them to take a class with you is a great way of getting past that hump. If you're really excited about knife play, and you're talking to someone and they're like, yeah, knife play sounds really cool, but you don't have a lot of experience with it, and you're like, hey, there's a sweet knife play class coming up, then chances are they'll be awesome, let's check that out. And that's your chance to practice together and learn together, build up a level of expectation and honesty and authenticity that is what allows you to be a very successful Dom. They're just general person. Are you looking at croissants?
So.
That's a baby.
It's a croissant.
Kind of look like a croissant from far away. It's a small child.
It's apparently my transition noise. I didn't realize that I had one, but here we are. What kind of toys are safe/fun to bring to a pet mosh? Anything that's not sharp.
Yeah. We did the last.
Oh, and non-latex.
Yeah.
And not filled with peanut butter.
You can do it if it's wrapped.
Well, I guess I would say don't bring common known allergens.
Yeah, that's true.
Or things that are easily messy.
What we did at the last Pet Mosh is we got this little treat football and filled it up with wrapped chocolates and stuff like that, and then all the pups could get little chocolate candies out of it.
And some of the cats too.
That's a good idea. So my idea was a good idea.
You had a great idea.
You can also get a leaf barrel. They're collapsible leaf barrels on Amazon for $15, and then cut the bottom out, and it makes a fun little tunnel.
All the pups love that tunnel.
Yeah. That tunnel got really good use.
People really like it. I don't have any recommendations for erotic BDSM books because I don't consume pornography. I don't really consume pornography that includes erotica, so I don't.
Archive or own.
I don't have. Yeah, exactly. Get you some fan fiction. I don't know what you're into, so even then it's hard to be read this erotica that I like, and then you're just this is crap. I just got it all up here in my little brain. That's all I need. Oh yeah, literotica works too.
Just listen. It was like somebody who always comes up like Charisse, somebody. Charisse Sinclair or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Chuck Tingle. There you go.
Your very specific taste. I mean, he does write niche.
Yeah. You got nominated, Chuck Tingle.
You got really?
Yeah, because it was in response to this dumb like anti-SJW thing called the Sad Puppies.
It wasn't. I have a Bitcoin on my butt. And
Yeah, and then so people like basically trying to nominate this one like reactionary, kind of fascist, like wrote science fiction that's very much like the white race conquers the universe because the white race is awesome. And in response to his nomination, like Chuck Tingle was counter nominated, and yeah, I think in the end they ended up canceling that award.
They just canceled. We're canceling the award. Wow. I don't know if that's a success or a failure.
Yeah.
You found the sharp thing.
Not super sharp. There's actually a sharper thing. I mean, yeah, you can hurt yourself with that. So many other things you can hurt yourself with around here.
But it's like a little chomper.
Little chompy chomps. Okay, so I need you to tidy up. I need you to hide anything that's like at a glance saucy, and then take out the garbage in the guest room.
Wait, like right now?
Not right now.
I'm confused.
What you need to do between now and 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I'm just reminding you of what I expect Parker to do. I have done quite a bit of other things. So,
That's good.
yeah.
We have to clean up for an inspection.
Yeah.
It's fine though.
It's fine. You won't die.
Probably.
Next week is coming from a motel. You know we were lying to you.
Don't we have to give you at least 2 weeks?
A month. And there's a couple of things. There's nothing. There's I installed a pet door, and it's I'll cut you a check or whatever to replace the screen.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing. It's not like we're running a grow op. I just don't want anything that's obvious.
Wait, what about the cloning machine in the garage?
No, I don't got those well hidden anyways.
Well, that's true.
Very well hidden. Rick and Morty's renewed for an absurd.
Yeah, they did 7 seasons. That's so it can get syndicated.
Yeah, it's just because I heard there was trouble renegotiating that contract, and there's that really weird Australian Rick and Morty episode that came out on April Fool's Day, and then all of a sudden it's just yeah, we're doing 7 more of these.
That's
So,
great.
yeah.
Can maybe answer questions?
Sure.
I've been waiting. There's been a couple. So Fun Bob asked, how do you? This is. I don't. I was gonna answer this, and I realized I don't understand what the question is. So.
Is it something you can read out?
How do you think I should ask her? In terms of somebody who's a pet player that I want her without scaring her away. First dog I've met for new dom/trainer. So are you asking if somebody who is interested in having a pet play relationship with somebody and you've not had one before? Is that the question? If it is, let me know.
Yeah.
Clarification needed to answer question. Darby asked, suggestions for somebody to be some community in a small town, ways to become more involved. Make plans to travel, online community, start your own munch. That's what I recommend. Small towns are hard. You have to travel. I travel over an hour to get to BDSM events if I need to go to them because I live in a small town. And I have decided that's worth it to me, but I can't do it every day, unfortunately. Is he raising his hand? I'm confused.
Oh, no, I'm just going to search, and I do have a thing to add on that.
Yeah.
So in Fat Life, you can find, even if there's not necessarily events, you may be able to find a local, small town USA, chat board. and that's a good place to sort of
It's true.
find out. So a lot of small communities will handle things in a very
Hush-hush way.
under the table way. So it'll be like even if it's like a town of like a couple thousand, there may be like a solid group of gangsters, like 30 or 40, but they all meet at like this one house, and the only way you're getting in there is if like you email somebody else in person and they give you the address. So first step of like going out and like first of all, find out if there are any events or whatever that remotely interest you. Go to those. Second of all, see if there are any sort of pure online based things, and then just like talk with people and let them know you online. And then from there, see if you can meet them for coffee or something, and that's how you can kind of integrate yourself.
Yeah.
Or if you find a bunch of people who are just like, yeah, it'd be great if like we had something we could do, then like take the lead, find a restaurant or whatever that wants some extra Tuesday business, and see if they'll reserve a couple of tables for y'all and just get a lunch going.
It's true. It's really not that. It can be intimidating. You just have to be. You have to be willing to put in more effort beyond just, I want to have a lunch that's every week at 7 p.m. and I know where it is and it's easy to find. Like, sometimes it's not that easy. You just have to be willing to put the work in to research it, start your own, or travel. And that takes time and it takes effort, and not everybody has the ability or the resources to do that, and I totally get it, but unfortunately I can't wave a magic wand and make all small towns in the United States suddenly have official lunches publicly available on FetLife. So if you can't or don't know how to like set up your own thing and there's not already one there, I would find it very difficult to believe that if you are in the United States and you live within an hour or 2 hours even of either a college town or a metropolitan area, that there is not at least one event a month. Like, it would be pretty rare. Even in really rural conservative places like Nebraska or Utah or Arkansas or wherever, there are BDSM events there. They may be more or less hidden than other places, but they're there, and there is, generally speaking, some semblance of a community. Some places have like a giant underground network of BDSM events. Some places have a munch or a house party every month, and that's what there is, and it sucks. Or if you live in like an hour or two and you can make it happen with your schedule, once a month, once every couple of months, drive down during a big party weekend and, either like get a cheap hotel room. Some places even have like play and stay events where you can play and then have a sleepover at the event space, which is awesome. If you know people in the area, you can couch surf. If you are going with a group of people from your local community to go to a big event because you don't have one, that's also great. But you can do like just one-off things like that. Or what a lot of people do also is they actually specifically travel even farther, like once or twice a year, to go to like a weekend-long convention or something like that, and have like a very intensive weekend, and that's what they get from the local BDSM community every 6 months or a year or whatever, and sometimes that's how it is. That's what I have to say about that.
Wow.
Yeah, if you haven't looked on FetLife yet, please look, because that's like the big...
Totally got step one.
Like, you have to do that. Like, if I'm just going to Google a small town. Oh, I know. You know, it's funny, because I live in a small town, and I know for a freaking fact that every summer there is a 2-week-long camping event that takes place there.
Nice.
Even though it's a tiny-ass town, like, 30 minutes off of the highway or whatever.
Well, it's an ass town, so, they're into stuff.
What does that mean?
Ass.
Hmm?
It's an ass town.
What does that mean? I don't get it.
They're really into asses.
Why? What makes you think that?
It's because you said it's an ass town.
It's a tiny-ass town. Yeah. That doesn't mean anything.
Hey man, look at this boy Joe. Look at all that jiggle going. He just let me do this.
So that's rude. Are you spicy mac and cheese?
It's like, I've had it. It's fine. Just kidding. Getting him exposure. I need him to bring in the big YouTube box as well.
Why?
People need to see how cute this Stumpy boy is. I know. Oh. So our D&D group is with friends, and one of them has a Shiva, and they brought the sheep for the first session. And then him and the sheep decided every time like we were in something intense that required a lot of discussion to lose their fucking minds. Did you order an appetizer as well that you wanted?
No, I ordered my salad.
Okay, you got your salad.
That's what I was pointing at you, was appetizer.
Oh, you would like focaccia?
I think that's what I want.
Kamboozle?
I think that's what I want.
Okay.
Is that what's there like it?
Also going to get the hummus. I'm totally happy getting it.
Okie doke.
I thought Evie was no bamboozle, but she wants me to order bamboozle.
Whoa! Emily got a locking anklet earlier today. That's super cool.
Congratulations.
Congrats! Boop. So Blue Devilish asked, do I think reaching subspace is what makes it a good scene or not? I have a friend who's struggling to get there, and although her dom thinks the scene was successful, she feels like she let him down. Trying to figure out how to help her. I don't know when you asked this, I don't know if maybe we have kind of covered this already. So forgive me if I'm like
solid half hour ago.
Late. Yeah, exactly. I'm losing track of time. I don't think so. Not at all. Like I said, it's like having subspace be what makes the scene good or not is like saying orgasm is what makes sex good or not. Like, it's not really about that. It's about having a good connective experience. And if you had a successful scene that was what you negotiated for, if you felt good, if you felt connected to your partner, if you achieved whatever emotions you wanted to get there, it's a good scene. And you may or may not reach subspace, and I know it can feel like it's a disappointment or a letdown or something to not be able to get there, but honestly, the more you worry about it and the more you make subspace the focus of your scene, the less it's going to happen. So if you can kind of maybe explain that to your friend who's struggling with this, and then just kind of reaffirm that you don't need to have subspace to have it be a good scene. Because here's what I think about it. I think subspace makes the scene very sub-centric, as opposed to making it a mutual experience. Because what causes subspace to happen may not necessarily be anything that the dominant enjoys. And then that can make the scenes very routine, very boring, and repetitive. Because a lot of what contributes to subspace is like a slow impact play scene that ramps up slowly and has a crescendo and has a very like distinct pattern and rhythm to it. And the same thing kind of goes for if you're doing something with rope. And that creates a very, very formulaic scene. And that gives the dominant very little... There's nothing wrong with that. But like, if you are trying specifically to aim for subspace, the types of scenes that make that the easiest to happen are also the most limiting in terms of, generally speaking, what you can do within that scene. So if your focus is on subspace and you really, really want to get there, you're kind of making it about you as a submissive as opposed to like about you and the dominant, or what the dominant wants to do for that matter. And you can negotiate for that, but then you kind of get, if you're just wanting to get the subspace, then really what you're talking about is just like making a service topping thing happen. Like just doing whatever it takes to get you to subspace is not the same thing as creating a scene with another person.
Yeah, and so it's also too, if you go like non-communicative or whatever, that can take a lot of the energy out of the scene in terms of like, depending on your relationship with your top. Like if it's somebody I've never played with before and they get non-communicative, like this scene's like done at that point. Like it needs to get brought down.
As opposed to like...
It's not like necessarily an emergency, but it's like the scene is going to finish. You know, it's not like, oh shit. It's more like, okay, well, I don't have the information I need to continue, like, you know, playing, so.
Like what's our punches Evie?
Yeah, but I just go to town until I get tired.
Yeah.
You're all screamed out. Yeah. When we talk about punching, there's very specific ways of doing it. So it's
I've been talking...
It's not like this, okay? It's the exact opposite of that. Even on Needy, there are meaty parts of her, and that's where the energy is.
I'm working on it. Evie wants more meaty parts of Evie. Wants that good booty. But then she has to go and work out, and that's less time she has for anything else. What if I just do what they did on BuzzFeed, and I just do 100 squats every day for a month?
Okay, give it a shot. I think your diet also probably needs to get tweaked a little bit to get the adipose tissue.
That's true. But thinking about that, diet changes are hard.
Don't worry, don't stress on it. You'll never get into subspace like this. I just whenever people.
You know what I should say? I should just link them to our 100.
Or well, what I was thinking, there's Blue Man Group Tiny Desk concert where they have this song that's like I am the best at meditation or something like that. It's just like just keep chanting over and over. I am like the best at achieving calm.
These are said Birdo permit with the Better Nest Bureau.
Okay, so we are probably
Look,
we're Birdo permit.
the Birdo permit with Better Nest Bureau.
Yeah, the corgi's been shedding, and I've been dumping his hair outside, his fur outside, and so like all the birds are just they've got like little reinforced
My phone
nests.
just beeped at me. Why'd you beep?
My beepy. My beepy sheepy.
So when I get the thing that Evie, well, Evie got a couple things, but she'll show them this one.
Oh yeah, Earn tomorrow.
Click.
I mean, if it's shipped and they say it's arriving by tomorrow, oh, that'll be really cute. Are you gonna get a whole flower crown to go with it?
No.
You know that slowly increases your sanity until the flowers rot.
And then what happens after that?
And then you can light it on fire, I think. My buddy.
Oh my.
Indeed.
Somebody named a non-bot, which is a very confusing name because that just makes me think that they are a bot, but then they're not. I've been having some memory loss after getting out of sub pet little space. Do you have any experience with tips to help out with this? Should I stop playing until I figure this out?
I mean, memory loss is something worth. So memory loss can be caused by a lot of factors.
It's true.
But
I also know a lot of people have just naturally shit memories.
yeah. But that being said, it's like something possibly worth taking seriously. So.
Yeah, lost time is
Govern
generally
yourself
bad.
accordingly, as attorneys like to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a difference between memory loss and having a fuzzy memory. Because if you've been in like deep subspace or you've kind of having all those things going through your brain, it can make it difficult to recall later. But if you're just like having blank time where you're like, I don't remember what happened, like that's generally not a good sign. I would try to figure out if it's correlated with anything. Like, does it happen more when you're doing certain kinds of play? Does it happen more if you've had scenes that go on for, longer than an hour or two? Is it something where you're having trouble remembering the scene specifically, or are you losing time in other parts of your memory? Is it something where you're able to recall things right away after a scene, but then you lose the memory of that, over time or like the next day? If it's something where you're losing time specifically in a scene or like of the scene, maybe like writing down what happened like as soon as you can after like might help. It's kind of like, I would think about it like trying to remember a dream, right? And like if you want to remember a dream, you have to think about it as soon as you wake up and you have to write it down. So if you can do that, and if you can write down the dream or talk about the scene right after it happens, if that's where the memory loss is happening, that might make it easier to recall later. And then if that doesn't help, then there's kind of more of an issue going on. But I have heard of that happening before. How concerning that is I think a function of how severe the time loss is, and is it only affecting stuff in the scene, or if it's affecting stuff beyond it, which you may not know because you've lost time, so you don't know what time you've lost because it's not there anymore. But if you're like, what did I do the entire day of the scene, you're like, that might be something that would cause concern. Because especially if you're dealing with any kind of situation at all where you're playing with new people, or if you're playing in risky territory, or if you are playing kind of pushing limits at all, not being able to remember that in detail could be very much to your detriment. So.
And I will just say, if you're engaging in breath play to the point of graying out even, then yes, that is huge.
If oxygen's not getting to your brain in sufficient quantities, that is not a good thing. Also, somebody asked me a while ago about, like, apparently their partner passes out after they have orgasms.
Yeah, that can be if they have, like, naturally low blood pressure.
Yeah, I was about to say, I didn't answer that one because I was like, I'm not a medical expert. I don't want you to tell you it's one thing. I was like, probably should see a doctor, but that does happen. Because basically, especially if it's a female-bodied person, like, female orgasm basically shuts off parts of your brain. And sometimes they don't come back online very quickly. And sometimes if you have low blood pressure, that can cause issues. So, yeah. It's something to be, I think you're right to be concerned about it, but I don't think it's, don't WebMD it, let's say.
Yeah, like, it's one of those things, brains are fickle organs.
Brains are pickles?
Pickled organs.
Pickle your brain.
I mean, I'm working on it.
Pickle in the Evie brain? Why is that?
My brain. It's non-consensually pickled brain.
So it can stay around forever? And ever and ever and ever.
Exactly. That's a nice thought. Just fucking frogs.
Sorry you're having trouble with the frogs.
Okay.
If I was playing with you, we could just cage all of them. And then eat them.
I got the rabbits helping me out. I don't want to be dealing with fucking frogs right now. That's all I'm gonna say. Any questions, or are we looking at?
Okay, restraints.
Restraints?
They're so interesting.
Good stuff.
Would I relocate? Change country for you, sir? Yeah, sure, why not?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as long as you're not moving to, like, a war zone.
Yeah, you need to make sure that there's still opportunities for you there.
Mm-hmm. If I can do YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Ding!
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, I'd do it. I think moving with her somewhere would be exciting. As long as it was for, like, a good reason. Like, if you got, like, a really good job abroad or whatever.
It's an amazing job.
And the most amazing, A+ job.
Shit. Job mountain.
I'd go with you. I'd do it. I mean, maybe I wouldn't go, like, right away. Like, I need time to get my own shit figured out, obviously. And kind of contemplate what my choices would be there. Like, it wouldn't be like, okay, packing up, let's go. Because if I'm not immigrating there for a job, like, that's kind of difficult.
Yes.
So, but I think if it, I think it could happen. I'm not going to say no.
Well, let's just put it this way. There's nothing in the immediate time horizon for it. So.
Exactly. And I would miss being here. I like being here.
Here's great.
If we could move somewhere that's like here, that would be perfect. I want it to be a nice place. Preferably where we don't have to learn another language to get around in the world. Bop-ba-da-bop.
Bark at him. Of course he does. Here's a weird sound. What is that sound? Ringing in my ears.
Okay, we got the question. I don't know how to. ERG asked, me and my sir have a long distance relationship. I am trying to be more patient when it comes to when we talk. but I also love lots of attention. What's something we can do to help a situation? Well, you've done step 1, which is if you identify that there's a problem. Step 2 is let your partner know that there's a problem. You don't have to frame it like, we need to fix this right now, this is unworkable. But like, be like, hey, so I'm struggling with this feeling, and I would like to be able to be more patient with when we talk, and I feel like, you know, part of that is coming from not getting enough attention. What can we do to make that better? And then you talk about it. And then hopefully you come up with some things that mutually work for both of you. I think this is really common, especially in long-distance relationships with S-types. Need to have a lot of contact. It's very, very common. And people have lives, people have jobs, especially if you're in different time zones. That makes it very difficult. I think setting up and having specific times where you know that you're going to be talking is really important. So if you decide that you are going to do a Skype call or something, like every Thursday night for an hour, and you know that you have that hour, that's great if you have the ability in your schedules to do that. Good morning, good night texts are also great. It takes like 5 seconds. They can do it when they get up and go to the bathroom in the morning. They can do it when they are brushing their teeth at bedtime. All they have to do is say, you know, good morning so-and-so, you know, good night so-and-so, put some cute emojis in there, and you're done. It does not take that much effort. Yeah, well, you can. You can put the cute emojis in if you want to. Don't have to, though. What? Cannot. I highly recommend them. That way you always know that they are thinking of you and that the relationship is there. Because I think a lot of times where this feeling comes from is like instability in the relationship. So if you try to build in more stability and that reassurance of they're going to text me when they wake up and when they go to sleep, and every Thursday night we get to talk for an hour, and you have those things, having that routine and stability could make it feel more like you are connected on a regular basis, even if you're not always able to talk regularly during the day.
Yeah.
But otherwise, a lot of it is really just up to like your independent schedules. Like if they're not able to give you more attention because they work 12 hours every day and they work an alternating shift every week, like that's just kind of how it is, and you need to either decide if that's something that's worth working through long term, or if it's something that's, you know, no, it's too important to me to be healthy as a person and I need more dedication, and you kind of have to, you know, evaluate that if it's something that you can't really work around. Because you can't tell somebody to like do something that would, you know, endanger their job or whatever because you feel like you're not getting talked to enough, right? Like you can't be like, I need you to text me more, and so they have to sneak off to the bathroom during work to be able to text you, because that's not a great situation to put your partner in. So don't make them do that. But try to find out things that can work for both of your schedules that don't negatively impact your existing lives. Long-distance relationships are hard. What can I say?
Yeah, that's why we don't call relationships short-distance relationships. You know?
Close proximity.
Dropping truth bombs. Just total disregard for where the truth might land. Mad lads.
Have we ever tried a vacuum bed? I've not.
Tried a what?
A vacuum bed.
I'd really like to get one. It's one of those things where you kind of need more space.
Yeah. Or you go to a dungeon that has one, but we don't currently have that situation.
That is sad. But yeah, they are cool little bits of tech.
But we're sleepy.
You think you're gonna get sleep?
Right now.
I'm just gonna let you sleep?
No.
Never.
Well,
Keep you awake forever and ever. Not really. At some point I have to sleep, right?
Is that how that works?
Yep. Nice.
That's a very uncomfortable looking position.
What is? Oh yeah, she's really strapped down. Yeah, backpacks are those things you can get like kits for it, but I'm always like it takes up space and
It's kind of unipurpose. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's like I don't know how many times I've been like, oh, the perfect. Like I'm like, oh, it'd be really amazing to have like a vlogging scene or a rope scene where it's like I don't necessarily feel that way about a backpack scene. I do love latex, and we are possibly going to a fancy latex party in about a month.
So I would say now is a good time to ask your questions. If you haven't asked your question yet, now is a good time. Or if I didn't get to your question, feel free to ask it again.
Skipping
But
it.
we're wrapping up because I did 10 minutes extra last 2 weeks, so I'm gonna try and be on time this week. 10 minutes is a lot of Stardew Valley time.
Wow, that's how we measure the hours
I keep-
of our lives.
Yeah, Stardew Valley time. Saw squeaky toys or balls? Are you asking me what my preference is? Is that what you mean? I think soft squeaky toys because balls are hard to fit in my mouth.
Yep, that's okay.
I heard a beep.
Yep.
I heard a beep, sir. What was it?
Probably sheep.
Beep beep. I'm a sheep.
Doot doot, I'm a boot.
How about a violet wand? I personally don't really like them. That's why we got into the conversation earlier about TENS units. Is because I don't know what it is. Like the sensation of a violet wand makes me feel
Oh, totally.
body paranoid. Like I don't know how else to describe it. I'm like, I felt like it makes me like nervous for my health. I don't know. It sounds really weird. Does that make sense at all?
It does. I think TENS is probably going to have the same or similar effect.
I don't know. It's hard to know.
Again, the thing with TENS is you can have a much greater set of sensations.
Because it's meant actually for medical use, and usually people who use it for medical use.
Yeah, well, it can be
don't-
modulated in ways you can't really do with a violet wand, or at least people choose not to do. It's actually interesting to think about because you can. Yes, you could. But anyways, people don't. It's pretty much controlling intensity or nothing at all. So isn't that sad?
Also, you should. Somebody said that if you TENS units are cool if you and your partner wear a pad where you kiss. It feels like when you and your partner each wear a pad. When you kiss it, it feels like little zaps. It's really cool. And my understanding that TENS units were a lot more strict about not going above the neck compared to violet wands. Like the risk was higher. I don't know. It's really hard to find like solid information about electroplay safety because some places will say nowhere above the waist, some places will say nowhere above the chest, and some places will say nowhere above the neck. It's like, well, which one's closer to the truth? But I would be very weary of like anything involving my face, so like electrical shock.
Yeah.
Because your brain's basically just electrical impulses.
It's actually, so having researched this, it's about the same to kill your brain as it is to kill your heart. You're a little more voltage sensitive and a little less current sensitive, but it's still like kind of the same like rough issue.
It's true. But yeah, no, violet ones aren't really my dealio. But I'm gonna try other things. Allie asked, I wanted to know if it's normal to have repulsive feelings, like I want to get into a relationship, but every time I do, I get nervous and sick and have to break up. I mean, normal is not a very... It's not a very good word to use, I guess, because it's like normal has so much like vested meaning. Like, normal being average? No, I don't think that's an average reaction. Normal meaning not bad. That's kind of up to you. I would say it's not a normal response in terms of it's not the average response. Whether that is individually bad for you is kind of up to you, not really up to like society to determine. But if you don't really have a lot of experience with relationships, they're intimidating, they're stress-inducing, people are hard, so it's perfectly rational to get nervous or get overly worried about them. However, you know, getting nervous to the point of being ill and then having to break up immediately because of some sort of existential fear or worry about relationships, I would say is getting into phobia territory, and that's something that you would need to address with a mental health professional who you can discuss the specifics of what is causing those feelings to happen and sort of your own like personal history with, because just, you know, very, very little information. I cannot really give advice about that. And that's something that I think you can work through if you want to, depending on kind of what the source, shall we say, of the fear is. But you also don't ever have to be like in relationships. Like, there's no rule that says you have to be in romantic relationships, right? And there are plenty of people, just as there are people who are repulsed by sex, are repulsed by the idea of romantic relationships. And that's more common with people who are aromantic, people who are not interested in romantic relationships, that they maybe like the idea of them, but then actually being in them is overwhelmingly a negative experience, just as what happens a lot of times when asexual people have sex with their partners in order to please them, and it's a very, very, very uncomfortable experience for them. Totally happens. Not to say that you are necessarily romantic or trying to place labels on you at all, because this could also just be a phobia thing and not an orientation thing in any way. But I recommend if this is something that is seriously bothering you, getting in the way of conducting your life in the way that you want your life to go, there is absolutely no issue with seeking out, you know, a session or two with a mental health professional and just kind of getting some guidance about what you might be able to do to address it, or maybe of something that has, you know, issues that require further discussion, shall we say. Okie doke, I think this is the last question. Amina asked, our master is new to the scene, right now he's away in a ship. Do you have any suggestions for way he can bring up play while long distance? I don't know what to do other than daily tasks. I'm not in a long distance relationship, so I really can't give advice about that. Especially not being on a ship, because that implies to me he's probably military, Navy, Coast Guard, etc. Or merchant marine, I don't know. Yeah. Crab fisherman, something. I would probably say if he is military, I would be really cautious, because you don't want him to fuck up his military career for BDSM. That's just me. I think that, you know, doing daily tasks is great, but I would let him, assuming that he's on a ship for work, dictate what he is available to do, because you don't want to end up in a situation where you're reinforcing the fact that you feel really lonely without him and probably making him feel guilty that he can't be there for you as much as he wants to be, and that you need more. Like, it just... If he's in a situation where he literally cannot communicate with you more than he is presently doing because of the fact that he is on a ship and there's a ton of fucking shit that needs to get done every day when you're on a vessel, you know, and sleeping patterns are normally really weird. Also, that I would maybe go to him and say, hey, is there anything that you think of that we can do that you would have time for that wouldn't be more stress on you? give him kind of the idea that you are looking for more, give him the opportunity to set the terms for what that looks like, and then negotiate based off what that is and what ideas that you have that you think might be workable and kind of that framework that he's saying he's available for. But otherwise, again, you do kind of end up in the situation where if you go into it like, I'm lonely, I need you, I need more time. Like, if he can't do that for you, all it is going to do is make him feel guilty. He's going to get into his head, and he's not going to be able to focus on whatever he's doing. And again, especially if he's in the military, having real life fuck with him while he's trying to, like, be a little E3 or whatever, like, it's not going to work.
Yeah. It's not.
Yeah.
He's got...
I'm assuming military, but I could be, like, he could be on a fucking cruise ship for Memorial Day weekend.
I think military is more common right now than, like, merchant marine or tanker or...
I mean, that's sort of like my framework of my life is assuming military stuff. But, I could be wrong. I didn't get any further information, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Especially if he's new. If he's new, like, if he's new, that makes it difficult to, you don't already have a lot of experience, right? If you don't have, like, a significant established GS relationship to fall in, it's really difficult to kind of introduce stuff in, like, a new capacity, and this kind of what I'm assuming is not a usual event for your relationship. Just kind of maintain what you already have, and then ask him for what he's available to do, and then go from there. And especially, I don't know what he has access to on a ship. Like, is it like, can he phone call you? Does he have text messaging, like email? I don't kind of, if your capacity is really just email, you can't send videos or photos or anything because he doesn't have the internet capacity available to do that. It makes it really difficult. That's what it's difficult, but, at least offer him the idea that you're looking for something else, and then maybe that can start a conversation.
It's really tough whenever you have a significant other who has...
Yeah, like when you were in Europe. And your time difference was like 9 hours or whatever.
Yep. It's more challenging, but, you can make it work. And, like, Europe was 2 weeks, which is a lot different than, sometimes...
3 months at sea.
Which, yeah. So, whatever your obligations there.
I mean, there's a difference between he's taking a pleasure yachting trip for Memorial Day weekend, and he's doing like a training session for 2 months or whatever, or he's doing other boat stuff.
Just boating around.
Boating around. I don't know.
But yeah, it's a myth to think that you will be someone's entire priority. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's a myth to say you're somebody's entire priority, but at the same time, it's also like, there's always a way that you can express what your feelings are and your needs are. You just have to kind of go into it without a vested interest in a particular answer.
Yeah. 100% valid to have needs and feelings and discuss those.
Bark.
But just understand, like, people are people, and that sometimes means...
What?
It was really weird.
People are doggo.
Oh my
People are doggo.
mind.
People are doggo.
Try. Doggos are people. But yeah. So.
I think we're done.
I think so. I'll end it. Tell you what. I'll kill it.
Bye.
Cut you off from the world.
And that'll be the last thing they ever heard from Evie.
Alright, say bye to them so that we don't end it like creepy.
Bye!